All right, we're on.
Hi, everybody. This is Debbie Lucci with the Deborah Lucci team. We're a real estate team in Andover, Massachusetts. Last year, we sold 156 properties, $125 million worth of real estate. We have guests on typically every week, but we decided this week we were going to chat about the market. And we have team members here. On the top left, we have Nicole Leahy. We have Leah Cormier in the middle top, and on the right top, we have Erin. We're moving everybody around. Under Erin, you have Diana Silva. In the middle, in the blue, is Elisa O'Connell, and then you have the other blue is Amanda Perlmutter. So we're just here today to talk about the market. And but before we talk about the market, let's talk about what we're doing tonight, ladies. We're at a benefit. So Amanda, tell us a little bit about this benefit, because you found this benefit.
Yes, so it's called the One Wish Project, and they're having their 5-year anniversary. Hannah Finn started this organization when she was 14 years old, and it was her way of kind of giving everybody a birthday. She loves birthdays, so she felt like people who are in homeless shelters or in foster care shouldn't be deprived of birthday parties. So she and her mom have been doing this for the past 5 years, and it's really such a great organization.
I think it's fabulous because I get to eat cake tonight and not feel guilty about it. So I think that is great. So and I think
You're
it's
a judge.
What's that?
You get to judge.
Yes. So I'm ready. So I already talked to my trainer, so I confessed my sins this morning, and we're all set to go. So let's talk a little bit about the market. So I just want to go through the market snapshot that our team members provide for us every Monday. So in Andover, and we're going to talk about May 31st, last year in comparison to this year. Last year at this time, there were 20 homes on the market. This year, there's 27. So this inventory in Andover is rising. Days on market last year was 67, this year 48. So if we talk about the under agreements, right now there's 11 contingent, 77 under agreement, and 253 closed in Andover for a year period of time. 15 are other, that means they did not sell, probably due to pricing, marketing, or condition. Median price in Andover has risen. It was at $799 for a long time. Now it's at $824, $450. North Andover, last year at this time, there was 12 listings on the market. This year, there's 13. Average days on the market last year were 113. You had one house really dragging that down. This year, there's 45. And for under agreements in North Andover, there's 10 contingent, 46 under agreement, 214 closed, and 11 did not sell. Median price in North Andover rose as well. That was hovering around $729 for a while. That's $749. And then North Reading, the only one where the inventory has gone down. Last year at this time, there were 8 homes on the market. This year, there's 5. Last year, average days on market, 22. This year, 15. Contingent homes, 5. Under agreement, 39. Closed and sold, 124. And 4 homes did not sell. Median price in North Reading again rose. That was hovering at $699.9 for a long time. Now it's $729.9. So that's the stats on these 3 towns. So girls, let's talk about what has been going on in the market. I think even if something gets printed in the newspaper, it seems like it's old news. That's how fast things seem to be happening. So what are you finding out there?
Well, I think we noticed it. We all 4 of us noticed it. I'll never forget May 1st. It was a Thursday evening. The open houses shifted the amount of people that came in from the previous week, which was the open houses. There was lines out the door. There were tons of people. I mean, people are still coming. There's, a lot of active buyers, but it's definitely dwindled down. And I think that happened after that last rate hike. And it's just a lot of the buyers just had to pull out because I think it shifted their payment and they just needed to take a break.
I agree with you. I mean, I had 4 homes come on the market April 5th, and then I had another 4 homes come on the market April 26th. And it was night and day, the activity and the number of offers. The prices are still seem to be holding okay. I don't think, we're in for any type of huge dip, but the activity is less and there's less offers. And we're starting to see, a few home inspections again, some more contingencies that we weren't seeing before. So there's a huge shift in even a short amount of time of the activity of what's going on. So you have buyers, you girls have a lot of buyers out there. So what are these buyers thinking? What are they saying? Are they coming off the sidelines now because they were getting so frustrated before, or are they jumping back because the interest rates have hiked up a little bit?
I have a little bit of both. I have buyers that still are taking a little bit of a back seat to this market and just trying to feel it out a little longer. And then I have buyers that really want to jump into it now before the rates increase anymore.
I don't know.
The other thing that's happening out there now, in addition to some buyer fatigue and some buyer concern about the rate hikes, we've got so many more houses on the market now. If you think back to January, February, March, you'd have maybe 1, maybe 2 houses per week come on the market. And now in North Andover, we've got 8 new houses on the market this week, 10 new houses in Andover. So that's diluting a lot of the buyer pool. So I think that's why we're seeing fewer offers on homes. It's because there are more options that they have now. So
Now, this is not a bad market.
No.
It's getting more balanced.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Something
And it's
too
an adjustment to modify back to, some sort of normalcy. I mean, those of us who lived through this spring market, it was unbelievable. I mean, even the most seasoned brokers never saw anything like that before, right, Debbie? I mean,
23 years, I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen the contingencies that were waived. For example, when we would put offers in before, like you would never have your pre-approval higher than the price you were going to offer because you feel that you'd show your hand. Now it was like if you can afford if you can afford 1.5 million and the house you're offering on is $1 million, you look better because you said to the seller, look, I can afford a lot more. So the thinking is just very different than it was.
Yeah.
Going back to what you were saying too, Debbie, about less offers on homes. I'm definitely seeing that. Like I haven't seen like that, like 15, 20 offers on a property anymore. Maybe there's, 4 to 6 or something. But what I'm seeing is that even though there's less offers, it's the buyer, and I know the agents are still conditioned to be super competitive. So it's making it difficult to know how competitive you need to actually be when you're going in on these houses. I've had buyers lose out when there's only been 3 or 4 offers because they think they need to be less competitive, and it's not the case.
I agree with you, Nicole, 100%.
It's just, I think what we're going to have, from a listing agent's point of view, I think the challenge is going to be convincing those sellers not to price those homes where those earlier homes were sold. I think it's going to be critical. And I think, I do think even though more inventory is coming on, I think there's an opportunity here, if you're a seller, to come on the market before school starts, get some stuff going here, because if these rates continue to rise, these buyers are going to keep backing off. So you might have missed like the crazy wildness of a market. That was the first time I saw it in 23 years. But this is not a bad market. I mean, I sold during the recession, so trust me, I know exactly what a bad market is. This is more of a normal market. I mean, they're still crossing out home inspections on some offers. They're still doing these things. There's less of it. So I don't want people to think that the sky is falling, because it's not. It's just not the craziness that it was a few months ago. And we really noticed this from the beginning to April to end of April. There was a huge shift, and it's continuing.
But I will say that that sort of frenzy is still going on with some houses.
Mhm. Really
If it's a
depends on the
great
house.
house, if it's in mint condition, if it's priced well to begin with, you're still going to see maybe not quite as crazy as it was in the early spring, but I think I had a buyer put an offer in on just a little condo over Memorial Day weekend. We're thinking this is going to be great. Everybody's out of town, Memorial Day weekend. Well, they ended up 13 offers. It went well over asking. So you just don't know. You just don't know.
I think sometimes the more you know, the less you know sometimes. I felt the same thing about Montclair. It was going to be a slower weekend, and that's when the offer came in on Montclair. Yeah. It's so what the buyers that you're seeing now, now, Nicole, you have the record for most offers. I think that, how many offers did you have? That was the record this spring.
56, right?
58.
58. So I only had a lousy
you.
43 on one of my houses, but so you had 58. Oh my gosh. So my son and I have this conversation. I know I bring him up a lot on these FaceTime lives, but I still think that millennial age group is really pushing this market. You've got a huge demand out there.
Mhm.
I think what it is too, we're a little spoiled with the interest rates. Are we going to see those interest rates again?
I don't think we'll ever see the 2%.
No.
But I do think if the buyers are out there and they're able to buy, get in now.
I
Still
agree.
strategize that offer, make it as attractive as possible, because a lot of people can't right now. And if you're able to, you're gonna you have a less amount of people you're gonna be against, and it's just gonna put you at the top of the pile.
And
if
I
you're
think
able to do it.
And I think from a seller's point of view, it's a good market to come on right now. I really do. I think that you've got people trying to get in before school starts. I think there's still good interest rates. You've got a good supply of buyers out there.
Absolutely.
And I would just don't look back and say I could have had this. Look at the market now and say I should jump on. And,
Right. Because it could completely shift again after Labor Day in the fall.
Mhm.
Fall will probably be a whole different market.
Mm-hmm. That's what they say, that it's going to stay. The analysts say that it's just going to slow down a little bit. It could. But who knows? We don't know.
You don't know.
With the real
The
test
buyers
of
that are
time.
sticking around though. Oh,
What's
sorry.
that,
I was going to
Nicole?
say that the buyers that have stuck around, because I know that a lot of buyers did get buyer's fatigue and kind of sat out for a little bit, especially with the interest rates rising. But the buyers that have stuck around I'm starting to see buyers that I've worked with for quite some time start getting accepted offers now, because they are, this is a good time to. It's not a good time as a buyer to sit on the sidelines.
No.
Get out there and
And I feel the same way about the sellers.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Get on now if you can. If you're thinking about it, do it now.
Right.
Do it now.
I was speaking with a seller yesterday who realized he sort of missed the spring market and brought up waiting till next spring. And I'm like, oh gosh, can't even predict a month out, never mind a full year.
That really is the test. A lot of times what happens is, we look at the fall market, and if this fall market is predicted to slow a little bit, the real test is going to be what is going to happen in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that spring market does not come back really robust, I mean, that's your answer right there. That happened. We saw that, and I saw that in 2005. In the summertime, it kind of changed, and then it just never really came back to that real strong spring market for quite a while. So I think timing right now is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your buyers looking for in this market?
They're not looking for deals anymore. That's for sure. I think that mentality of let me see what I can get this for, is over. It's so tough. I feel like part of my job is a counselor. You put in offers for these poor buyers, and they get turned down one right after another, and it's so hard. It's so difficult. I think, they're giving up on so many things. They're giving up the opportunity to do a home inspection. They're waiving appraisal contingencies. So it's hard. And I think they'd love to see some kind of normalcy in the market where, you can go back to the days where, you ask, you offer the asking price, then that's good enough.
Yeah, but I think, and from a seller's point of view, sometimes, I know you can get a lot of money for your home if it's done.
Right.
But I think sometimes what happens is you can focus on getting it done so long that you're missing what's going on. You're missing the market. So, I think it's important. Have any of us over. We'll take a look at the house. We'll show you, exactly what needs to be done. I listed homes. I've had some houses that were, very 70s, but they were very clean, decluttered, organized. And they came on at a good time and did extremely well in comparison to, some people, they're fixing everything, cleaning everything, painting everything, doing over things. And we know the millennials like that because the millennials are, very busy at work. They will pay to have things done. But if there's basics, I think you can do to a house, it shouldn't take that much time.
Neutralize it, stage it, neutral paint, stage it, declutter, depersonalize. It goes a long way.
Clean it. So you walk in that door, that house looks organized, looks clean, smells clean.
Curb appeal.
Yeah.
Price it appropriately. If it needs work,
Absolutely.
price it.
Right. I think that's going to be extremely important, pricing a home this market. And I think Elisa too. A lot of people don't walk up their front stairs. They're coming in the garage all the time.
That's
so,
right.
Just walk in that house like you have buyer's eyes on and take a good look at it. And, we all do really well with having stagers come in and help us have our clients get houses ready. We also have people that will help you declutter, things like that. But I do think Joanne's right. I think pricing is going to be key in this market. And I think just getting over that spring market where you're looking at some of these houses and I saw just a couple of listings. I had a listing, it went on a month after a house that was almost literally across the street, and that 4-week difference. And I thought my house was nicer than the other house. Okay. But the difference we priced it exactly the same way. And the difference in the net price, because of the 4 weeks, we got a little bit less than that other house down the street. So I think if we had gone after higher, we would have even ended up in worse shape. So I think it's really key to have those things in this market.
And I think what's tricky too is that, now these houses that were sold, went under agreement in the spring, everybody now can see what they sold for. They sold for $400,000 over asking. And I think, of course, the sellers are thinking the same. They're in the same neighborhood, the same as, they're going to get the same price for their home. And I think that's what's tricky is correcting that thought process, that
mentality.
It isn't January, February, March anymore. Those were unprecedented times. And
I always say pricing's a moment in time.
Yeah,
it
really is. And the market will speak. If you price it correctly, the market will see it and they will speak. If it's overpriced,
it'll sit.
It'll sit.
It'll sit. And try not to get emotional. It has to be like you have to almost treat your house. I don't want to sound cold, but like a product. You have to, don't get emotional about it. Well, this house over there right down the street is closing at this price here. I should get the same. Oh, I missed the market. I mean, the thing is, you have to look at it. If it's a moment in time, you have to price it for that moment. And you have to try not to be emotional about it, which is very hard in residential real estate.
But if you create that urgency and excitement, the multiple offers will still come in and the price will still go up, and you will do very well as a seller. And I think there's still buyers out there for that right house, that right product. They will go after. They will put a great offer in.
Right. Definitely.
But I think it's key to still have that house in the best shape you can possibly have it without spending all kinds of time on it. I think that's important. So it comes down to condition, pricing, marketing. And I think we have an exceptional marketing program for our sellers. So I think that's one box that's checked that we do really, really well. But then the pricing and the condition comes out to the clients, and we can help you with that condition, get it ready. We have all kinds of different things that we can help between decluttering, virtual staging, bringing a stager out, just making recommendations that will get you the most money for the house. So do you see any buyers backing off, waiting? What do they think is going to happen?
I don't think they know. They're definitely, I have buyers who have backed out. I think part of it is buyer's fatigue. But I also think it's just kind of a wait and see. We don't have to move. This is kind of a crazy market. Let's just sit it out for a little bit and see what's happening.
Agree. Absolutely.
And they probably can't afford what they once could, and now they're looking at what they can afford, and that's
absolutely
not always
appealing to them. I think they're
$1 million house that they wanted, they can't have. They're looking at $800,000 houses now.
So what recommendations do you give them out in this market? What do you say to your buyers out in this market?
I definitely think expanding their search is huge, because obviously everyone wants a turnkey house, but if you can walk into a property and see it for the space and what it could be, that can change your whole perspective on this process.
Yes, I agree.
I agree.
I agree. Everybody wants the house that they can just walk in and move in, put their feet up, and not have to do a thing. But I had a buyer who just bought a house. They were originally looking at new houses. They were looking newly renovated houses. They kept missing out. And then they ended up buying a house that had great bones, but it needs a new kitchen. It needs new baths. And they saw the potential in the house.
But you're also increasing your equity too when you get something that needs to be updated, and you're getting it at a lower price, and then you're putting some money in, and you're going to be able to reap the rewards of that.
Now they're talking about lumber prices going down too.
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
that's
so
good news.
This could actually be this could be huge. This could be huge. So, I mean, I guess it's our job when we're walking a buyer through the house to give them the vision of what this could be. Well, look at this great space over here. You could do this, because it's hard sometimes for people really to see what they could do with that space. So I think that's part of our job now to do that. I have to be honest with you. I mean, I think it's fabulous that, one of the selling points I would say was, this kitchen here is nice, but is exactly the way you want it. No, you can buy a house a little bit less money that needs work. You can have it exactly the way you want. So, so have you had any conversations with, some of our mortgage brokers, attorneys, any connections like that, where they have ideas of what's going on and how buyers and sellers are reacting to this market?
I've definitely done some price shopping, some rate shopping for my buyers. I've called a few people, my go-tos, the rates have gone up, and I've actually did a little shopping around for some people, and the arms are coming back. Some clients I have that I know that they're not going to have a mortgage for a very long time, so that might work for them. I found a bank that has a special, like a 30-year that was 3.3 or 3.6 just a week ago. So I think having an agent that has some connections that will shop around a little bit for you and give you some insight on what might work will be very helpful as well.
Yeah, I definitely, I think that that's one of the advantages of this team is I think we are very well connected with a lot of people locally in this area. So that's good to hear that is still out there. And I know Mackenzie's had some connections with some, she's had some kind of portfolio money there from one of her lenders that they've had great rates on. And she's gotten her clients some really awesome deals. So, what about the sellers? Have you been talking to the sellers and what are they thinking when you've been interviewing with people?
Well, for me, I don't know. I have a new listing coming on this week, and I said, I gave them a little range, and I told them what's happening with the market, how that it's starting to shift, and that I just want to look at we decide the pricing just before we put it on the market. But I give them a little range where we're going to be, and I said, I tell them you got to be careful because there's not a lot. I mean, there's still a lot of buyers out there, but it's not like it was, as Joanne said, in the spring. So you still want to create that sense of urgency and excitement. So I think we need to really pay attention to the price, really pay attention.
Yeah, it's so critical. It's just
we're in the middle of that change right now.
Yeah, exactly. It changed from week to week.
It does.
Again,
but
buyers are still conditioned to put an additional, 25, 50, 100K on top of these list prices. So if they're not pricing it aggressively, then a lot of these buyers aren't even going to come out and look at the house because they're going to be like, I can't afford it. So it has to be priced in a way where buyers feel like they're still getting, okay, I can be competitive with this. I'm still getting a great house for without this price. And it's getting me excited to get out there. They have to get buyers through their property in order to get that, to get the price point that they do want.
Right. I think it's also important to price it right because even though it's going over, my buyers especially, they don't want to feel like they're really overpaying. They still do want to feel like, okay, as long as the house appraises, then they're feeling like they're getting a deal. But if the house doesn't appraise, they're like, oh gosh, Diana, did I overpay? And I'm like, maybe not. But I think it all stems from pricing it correctly because if they don't, then they won't get that, amount over that they really want.
Well, you've got to look like you're the best house on the market in that price point. I mean, so I pulled houses today because I have something that, might be coming on between 650 and 850. And if I had pulled that, 6 weeks ago, there would have been almost no competition. Now there's 7 houses that are on.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So I think sellers are getting it because when I'm going out there, I don't feel like I'm, have to really convince them a lot. When I talk to them about this, I think they're saying, yes, I'm hearing this. Yes, I'm hearing this.
And they all talk. They talk to their friends and their experiences. And, I think there's some very educated buyers and sellers out there.
I think real estate's always a fascinating subject.
Exactly, especially now.
I think we've seen how important it is to price it correctly right out the gate because that first week is pretty vital.
Absolutely.
I mean, I still think, I had a house that stayed on the market a little bit more than a week, which was I must have had 10 brokers calling me. Is it available? Is it available? Because they're so used to it. Maybe we haven't gotten the check yet, so we haven't marked it contingent.
Right.
But I couldn't believe how many people call me. It's still a shock if it's on the market more than a week.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had a house, actually it was last year. I mean, the market, of course, was still good last year, but the house was on the market for 2 weeks. And my seller called me and said he was embarrassed. Every house is selling but his. And so it's definitely a mindset.
Well, you still see when I gave you those stats, there's still houses in each town that are not selling, and there's a reason. And most of the time it's price most of the time.
Yeah, and we've seen a few come on around here that seem very overpriced. We talked about in a text thread. I was shocked, at the pricing.
And
Yeah.
the thing is, if you know, well, if you, let's say you overprice the house and then, you know, down the road you say, well, if it doesn't sell, I'll replace the carpet, I'll do this, I'll do that. I mean, you have set that vision of that house in these people's minds. So, you know, if you'd be better off just lowering the price opposed to putting it on, having it a price, it doesn't sell, and then replacing all these things. Don't do that. That's always been a bad mistake. You know, have it the way it's going to look from the very beginning and price it appropriately.
One opportunity to make a first impression right there.
Right, exactly. All right, so ladies, I think we're at the end of our show. This was great that we get to chat for a change and talk about what's going on in the market. I mean, the market is moving and changing every single day. This is what I was talking to you about. Remember when I was telling you when I thought the recession didn't hit it to me in 2008, it hit in 2005. You feel it on the street every single week. So we're in for a little change. We're going to adjust to it. And that's what I love about you ladies. We're always kind of changing with what's going on the market. But thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And log on to wherehomesgetsold.com, or these ladies also have their own websites. Let us know if you want to talk to anybody individual, and we'd be glad to connect you. Okay? All right. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.